welcome to this edition of the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Networks. I'm your host, Dominic Aragon. I'm editor-in-chief for theracingexperts.com.
And I'm David Swope, host of the New Mexico Motorsports Report on ESPN Radio 1017 The Team.
And I'm Brooklyn, trackside reporter for the New Mexico Motorsports Report.
A lot of racing again this weekend. This time, some playoff action, guys. We go to Talladega Superspeedway, where Brad Keselowski is now one round closer to clinching his first championship in this new playoff format. Keselowski survived the crashes and made a last lap pass on Ryan Newman in the Alabama 500 at Talladega Superspeedway Sunday to capture his third win of the season. The win gives Keselowski an automatic berth into the round of 8. 40 cars started, but only 14 finished. Among the drivers to fall out include championship drivers. We're going to have more on that later, but yeah, a lot of crashes out there. I can't remember the last time just 14 cars finished the race.
Yeah, it's been a long time since it had that much attrition. What was interesting is it actually ran fairly clean in the first two stages, and then it got a little crazier towards the end. But great finish. There was a little battle there. I know, Brooklyn, you're a little disappointed. Ryan Newman had the lead there, but he saw Brad kind of backing up a little bit and took a run at him. And then if you look closely at that video, of course, you saw Logano slip over there and take the air off of Newman's car with a side draft to get Brad to finish. But what a relief! What a change up in the lineup! What a relief for Brad Keselowski to move on to the round of 8.
Talladega, he's won there multiple times, but that's the third time now he's won with a last lap pass. His first career win came with a last lap pass on Carl Edwards, and did the same thing in 2014. Now just did the same thing on Sunday. But got to ask you, Brooklyn, Ryan Newman, didn't he already have his last career win? What's he doing trying to fight for another win?
Dominic, I'm getting real tired of this. No, I'm just kidding.
But no, Ryan Newman actually had a very impressive performance. He missed a lot of the wrecks on Sunday.
Yeah, it was good to see him up there again after his hard weekend in Charlotte, getting last and wrecking out. And I was pulling for him. It was crazy, and I wish he would have got it, but next week in Phoenix, not next weekend, but the next week in Phoenix.
We'll see how he does in Phoenix. That's where his last win came. But yeah, he can still climb up to 5th in points. But yeah, there was a lot of great racing on Sunday. I mean, how about Daniel Suarez? He didn't even lead a single lap officially, but he was fighting for the lead when he took out himself, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. Yeah,
that was a real shame. I mean, he was having a heck of a run. Of course, what was really interesting about the race was really the manufacturer battles that developed. When all the Ford cars going early in stage 1, pitting all together. And you definitely could see them trying to get together as teammates and make that thing work. But what I also thought was really impressive is the grandstands. Grandstands were full, over 100,000 people, there watching the race. Viewership was up 30% with the stands, and the stands packed, and so definitely wasn't a lack of interest, and the race really didn't disappoint.
Absolutely. Talladega always has a full grandstand. They get the 2 races a year. They get a lot of people to go out to the races. I always hear people who don't even really watch the sport anymore say, I only tune in for Daytona and Talladega, but they got a great show on Sunday.
Yeah, it's one of the first things I noticed too. I was like, wow, there's a lot of people there. And I saw a picture on Twitter of pit road, like at the beginning of the race, and it was packed. I mean, for introductions. I was like, that's awesome to see that many people out there.
Yeah. What impressed you guys most about the race on Sunday?
Well, there was a couple of things. I'm not sure I was impressed as much as I thought it was definitely entertaining. But Clint Boyer getting out of his car and climbing up and letting his crew chief have a little some words there. I thought that was, to see that level of passion was really exciting. Of course, watching the points basically change. I mean, Kyle Busch has had a rough couple of races. All 3 of us have picked him to be into the in the Final Four, and he's really had a tough go of it. But Chase Elliott with the cheers when he took the lead, Dale Jr. of course being on the pole when he took the lead, all the cheers. So a lot of great storylines. I mean, even the way the stage racing came into it in the first stage, there was battles for each of the stage victories. So I think overall it was great. I think that helps answer whether or not you should have a super speedway race in the playoffs. There's been a lot of discussion over the last 2 days about whether that's fair or not. I think that hey, if you race on that surface, you should have one of those surfaces. Of course, I've always been, I want a road course in the playoffs as well.
And you're getting
now we're going to have the oval. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And what impressed you most about the race on Sunday?
Probably the amount of cars that finished the race. Yeah. I couldn't believe how many people wrecked out towards the end. It was so clean throughout the whole thing. Like you were just saying, towards the end, everyone was just wrecking everywhere, and it was like, okay, this is going to be the last green, it's going to finish, and then it was like, oh, yellow again, and it was like, come on, this is taking forever. But it was definitely an adrenaline rush for me because of Ryan and just because of all the accidents, and yeah.
Sure, and it started out like a great race, a lot of 40-car field, it was full, but looking at that finished 14 cars, it looked like a practice session. But the name that stuck out to me, I think that impressed me the most, the name Mark Thompson, does that sound familiar, ring the bell to either of you? Okay, he drove the 15 car this weekend for Proview Motorsports, 67 years old, and he'd run a couple of the Xfinity restrictor plate races this year with Carl Long Motorsports, but what really is fascinating about him is his first Cup start came in 1992. Wow. So he went 25 years between a Cup start, and doing our research, it looks like that's a NASCAR record between intervals of races. 876 races since the last time that he had run a Cup race. And I mean, just think about that. George H.W. Bush was the president. The last time he ran a Cup race, Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart both started and ended their Cup Series careers in between the times that he actually ran a Cup race. So that's what impressed me the most about that guy. Of course, he wrecked out in the first big one with Jamie McMurray and Jeffrey Earnhardt, but just the fact that here's the 67-year-old starting. His last race was over 25 years ago.
What about Greg Galding?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, as a rookie, I mean, finishing on the lead lap in 9th. I mean, that, either that's taking the old approach of, staying back and staying out of it, but actually being on that lead lap. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
It was only his second career lead lap finish, and his best finish ever, his best finish previous was 24th twice at the Talladega race in May and at Indianapolis in July. But this is a guy that shouldn't have even been back with this team because of all the lawsuits. I don't know if you guys remember how much he and the team owner, Ron Devine, had some issues throughout the summer about bills not being paid, but for whatever reason, Galding's been put back in the car and given a second chance, and he made the most of it on Sunday.
Absolutely, and and of course it was great to see Dale and a chance, and of course the announcement of them having a baby, expecting a baby girl, and comments of I'm glad I finished the race healthy, and there was still a chance where he could get it done. So it was definitely an interesting race. I mean, 2 extended red flags were a little bit of a bummer to kind of stretch the race out, but other than that, I think overall it was a very successful race.
Sure, and I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. having a chance to actually win the race, I think that's why we saw the grandstands full towards the end there. We saw so many people standing on their feet because that's the unofficial capital for Junior Nation. So
yeah, absolutely. But you look at a lot of the players. I mean, Ryan Blaney finishing 18th, Jimmy Johnson 24th, Ricky Stenhouse 26th, and that that probably does represent the end of Ricky Stenhouse's chance. Kyle Busch and of course Jamie McMurray going out very early. So I mean that's a lot of points to make up to try and make it to the round of 8.
Yeah, we're going to have an elimination race this week in Kansas, and we're going to be there, and we'll tell you guys all about it next week on the show. But we also have some more Talladega information, and there was a second race out there, but on Saturday.
Yeah, a part-timer showed us how it's done at Talladega on Saturday. Making his 7th start of 2017, Parker Kligerman made his way to the front of Fred's 250 and was out front before a crash and a caution froze the field. Kligerman picked up his first win of the season and his second career victory in the series. 2 drivers were eliminated from the playoff contention after Talladega Saturday. More on the points in a little bit. Yeah, you take a look at that wreck there, and he got to the lead. He got the help from Grant Enfinger and was able to get it done. But that championship battle, though, and the points battle to try and make it into the playoffs, John Hunter Nemechek and Chase Briscoe and the back and forth, and Hunter Nemechek actually making it through that crash to advance to the next round.
Yeah, it was quite a battle, and right down to the end with Chase Briscoe and John Hunter Nemechek. But I really was excited to see Kligerman win it. I mean, he gets out there, he works hard, he does great interviews, and so it's great to see him get a chance. And of course, I didn't realize that was his second. So I mean, he's done this before, but a great race, and move on. Of course, Christopher Bell, the announcement that he's got a ride next year in Xfinity is pretty neat to see. They just continue to do well. But Johnny Sauter is inching right up there. I mean, he's going to take it right down to the end.
And he's the driver who won in this Championship 4 battle last year out at Homestead. But yeah, Christopher Bell moving up to the Xfinity Series, so that's going to open up a ride for potentially another young driver to come up. And even the talk of John Hunter Nemechek possibly going to the Xfinity Series. There's going to be a lot of jumbling around at the start of next year.
Yeah, the silly season is nowhere near over. I mean, there's still some Cup drivers without seats. All the talk about the economics of everything. The whole, now going to a standardized lug, gun. All kinds of things to try and contain costs. And so I think that we're going to see a lot of different moves, definitely, and probably some names we haven't even heard of yet.
Sure. Do we see some Cup guys move down back to the Truck Series, like a Matt Kenseth, because he can't find a Cup ride?
I doubt that. Not specific for Matt Kenseth. Do you see that happening? I mean, is there somebody? I think you asked the question because I think you got a few ideas.
Well, I think that might be his best option at this point, because the 77 team's shutting down now with Eric Jones taking Kenseth's ride, but there's no swap there. There's not really any other Cup rides that are available to have Matt Kenseth go to. I don't know if he still wants to continue racing full-time in NASCAR's top 3 series. It's going to have to be the Truck Series, I think, or maybe the Xfinity Series, but I don't think there's a Cup team out there that races at his caliber that he's going to be able to run with in 2018. We may be seeing the last 5 races of Matt Kenseth's Cup career.
Well, and that would be a shame.
Yeah, that would be definitely sad to see him go down in the series. So.
Yeah. And we've seen other drivers in the past do that before, like a Mark Martin go to the Truck Series and dominate, and Kyle Busch, but they've obviously done it when they've had more of a full-time ride in the Cup Series, but we'll see what's going on with that. And David, we have some NHRA news to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert Hight came away with a victory, the final round race between him and Ron Capps in a NHRA. Hight raced to a 3.877 second pass at 332.34 in the Chevy Camaro to beat reigning world champion and points leader Ron Capps in the finale. It's Hight's 4th victory of the season, 41st of his career, and 3rd at the Texas Motorsports place. He remains in 2nd right behind Capps, which is 24 points. Force piloted her dragster to a Texas Motorplex elapsed time record of 3.681 at 326.87 to defeat Sean Langdon in Top Fuel. Pro Stock champion Line found himself in the winner's circle, and Eddie Craig won in the motorcycles. Really neat racing. But one thing that was amazing, we've got some video on a crash that was there, and it was scary. And you can take a look here at the accident, and it just shows you, I mean, just the Steve Torrance, and hopefully we're going to roll this a little bit. He climbs out of this thing and cheers to the crowd, and it just reminds you, I mean, how much force and inertia is involved in drag racing. And yeah, there we go. There he jumps out. I mean, that's a fantastic story. I mean, look at that. You almost wonder if he was like, maybe a little bit of a concussion, because otherwise, I mean, you might want to stay in the car. But absolutely amazing that the people walk away from these accidents. But a lot of great racing. There's just a few races left in the series. Of course, I'd like to see Ron Capps come away with enough victory. I mean, he had 5 second places before he was the champion last year. So a lot of neat things going on there in drag racing. Well,
what impressed me there was the response, how quick the safety team was able to get out to that kind of crash. Did they have any idea of how many G-forces registered with that kind of wreck?
I don't. That's actually one of those where I wish Jim Costa was here, because he's one of those number guys, that he would absolutely be able to also tell us, a little bit what that's like. Sure. But it's amazing to almost make it, to the end of the quarter mile and then have it go. And in the video, you can also see that basically the bags had deployed, and that's what really kind of helped slow him down. But man, the inertia. And you see a lot of videos, where it doesn't come out, and they'll go into the big sand pit or something at the end of the drag strip, and I mean it happens. I mean, luckily there was no incidents this weekend out at the Hot Rod Rumble, but it definitely can happen.
It's a testament to the safety that the sport has.
Absolutely, all of them. As a matter of fact, we all fall victim to the fact that we expect these guys to walk away. I mean, it's when they're actually in action and we lose a life, we're actually actually shocked by that. And yet, you know, they continue to look at ways to make, you know, the barriers safer. I mean, NASCAR is a perfect example of the safer barriers. Of course, Kyle Busch, you know, a couple years ago with his broken foot, you know, we found out, hey, we need the barriers on the inside as well. You go out to Sandia, and you know, there's not a lot of barriers out there. There's more barriers on the dirt track, but they're not, you know, but they're K-wall, you know, which is supposed to, you know, kind of throw the car back on the track, so it's not as energy absorbing as they are at the professional level. Sure.
Well, stay with us, guys. Got a whole lot more coming up here on the New Mexico Motorsports Report, including Caleb Lewis and David Worth. You're watching the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Networks.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf dart tag games, from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting two teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering, let us bring our kitchen to you.
When I train for American Ninja Warrior, I schedule regular workouts to stay in shape. To keep my car in Ninja Tough shape, I head to a Napa Auto Care Center for regular maintenance and genuine Napa Auto parts, like brakes and batteries. I trust my Napa Auto Care Center for quality parts and quality service. And with the 24-month, 24,000-mile nationwide warranty, I drive away with peace of mind every time. Visit AutoCareNM.com to find a location near you.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Networks. I'm your host, Dominic Aragon.
And I'm David Swope, host of the New Mexico Motorsports Report on ESPN Radio 101.7 The Team. And joining us now is Caleb Lewis. I can't believe we got you out of the shop to come in and talk to us before SEMA.
It's a rare occurrence, guys. Not that much.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask. I mean, I know your story, and we're going to roll some video here of you doing some fabrication on the Dirty Bird. But talk a little bit about kind of like how you got started. I mean, how did you get into fabricating cars?
Well, you know, cars have been a huge part of my life ever since I was real young. I grew up in it. My dad was in it. You know, several of my brothers are in it, and I grew up in our shop doing collision, mechanical repair, and painting cars. And it was just something that clicked in college. I knew I loved cars. I knew I wanted to do something with it. I had a mechanical engineering degree behind it, so it was just one of those things. I mean, building custom cars was it for me. And I started doing it as a hobby, and it kind of turned into a business opportunity, and now it's kind of become my life. So
wow, it's pretty amazing watching in this video. You basically you're fabricating the Dirty Bird, which, you know, like you said, kind of put you on the map. But before that got started, I mean, you know, working at J. Walton with the family business, and you know, really learning that work ethic. I mean, because I mean, you work like ridiculous hours, man. I mean, it's, you know, you take what, 2 breaks a day and
something like that. The big problem isn't how much work I do; it's how many commitments I make, and I have to fulfill those commitments. So, yeah, I work a lot of hours. Right now, I'm working 18 to 20 hours a day, trying to get a few hours of sleep at night, and then get back to it in the morning, 7 days a week. So lately, it's been a 2-day segment. So I work 2 days, sleep 1 night, work 2 days straight, no sleep. So
is there such a thing as a typical day?
No. My days vary. It really my day really starts when I start working and stops when I'm done with whatever I'm working on. So who knows what I'll do that day? It's just a matter of completing a task.
What do you do to just kind of like blow off some steam?
Right now, I'm not allowed to do anything. I have to stay in the shop until I'm done with these cars. But you know, I ride dirt bikes a lot, so I race motocross, and when I get out of the shop, that's usually what I'm doing, or going to the lake. Anything with motors, honestly. I just have a need for speed, I guess.
That's fantastic. Well, let's roll a video from SEMA 2 years ago, and the Dirty Bird, which basically changed your life.
Yeah.
Tell the story of how you came to get that car, and you know, the process that you went through to kind of come up with that design.
Well, you know, the Dirty Bird is definitely my iconic build. It was kind of the beginning of Loose Customs, the beginning of what I'm doing. I built the car really off of just an idea. I had a 64 T-Bird sitting in the parking lot. I knew I wanted to do something with it. Me and my dad actually then discovered that, you know, I really wanted to build hot rods for the rest of my life, so we decided to open Loose Customs. A year before I debuted the T-Bird, I went out, I picked up sponsors, I sold the idea to anybody who would listen. I mean, I took 80 bound packets that I bound just at night after work in school, and bound these things. I went out to SEMA and spent 4 days not looking at cars, talking to product reps and, you know, people who would sponsor, put their name on it, you know, get behind me on the project. And that actually went pretty well. And after SEMA, I went back to town. I started tearing the T-Bird down. I just kind of went wild with it, and it definitely has paid off, because right now I have more work than I can deal with, and a lot of people know my name now, which is pretty cool.
What was the inspiration of doing a T-Bird Roadster like that?
Everyone always wants a reason why I built the car. I don't have any reason. A junkyard actually was going to crush the car, and they were like, "Well, I know you like old cars. Do you want it?" Yeah, why not? I just came, dropped it off, and I had never really paid attention to that body style at all. And when I saw it, I was like, man, it'd be really cool as a roadster. It'd be really cool to take the roof off, you know, do these certain things to it. And this was long before I even thought about Loose Customs. And I just was like, that'd be a cool car. And as soon as the opportunity came up, that was it. So there is no inspiration. There is no real reason on why I did that car, or why, you know, those work with it. Just kind of went with it. It happened.
Obviously, a lot of hard work went into that car from the start to end. How long did that project take?
You know, it was only 9 months. That was a pretty short project. So, just to bring it back to reality, I put 4,000 hours in on the car in 9 months, which 2,000 hours is a working year. So I put quite a few hours in on it, but 9 months just because, you know, once again, SEMA was a deadline, so I knocked it down.
So all your extra time was going towards this project?
Actually, no, because I was majoring in mechanical engineering at the time, so I was taking 18, 19 credit hours at UNM and trying to build this car. So yeah. There's a lot of work. That's
pretty crazy. I know this won several awards. To you, what was the biggest award that you won with that car?
You know, that's a hard one, because I have my two biggest awards that I'm really proud of. One of them is the Darrell Starbird. It's the Go for Gold show. So it's out in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Really cool show. Tons of really nice cars and a pretty huge payout on it. So I won that one, I mean, right out of the gate. I mean, I just finished the car. I want to say I was like the third show after SEMA I took it to, and I won that. And then actually just earlier this year, I won the Grand National Roadster Show in Los Angeles. So that was a really cool one too, just because that one's very prestigious, you know.
Well, Darrell said that he knows that the future for custom car building is okay because you're in the world. I mean, that's got to be a significant.
You know,
significant
taking the car to Darrell and putting it in front of him, and he had 2 orange Thunderbirds there that same year. So taking the car to his show, where I mean, he's legendary for radically modifying cars. Like, this is right up his alley, and he comes over and spends an hour just looking over this car, every detail, every line, looking at it, and at the end telling me, "I'm intimidated by your work." I was like, "What? No." This guy, he pioneered custom cars.
Well, the bubble car.
Yeah, I mean, he's the bubble top king. You know, that's where he gets his name. You know, he's a really nice guy too, which is nice. You know, a lot of the really big name builders they go one way or the other, really nice or hard conversations.
Absolutely. So, what was the first thing you customized? I mean, a bicycle? I mean,
it was actually, well, other than our hacked up 4-wheeler and dirt bike, because I remember one time we had a 4-wheeler and it broke, so I took it upon myself to take apart and try and fix. That was pretty. It didn't go well, but the first thing I really customized was I was in 7th grade and I built a solar powered moped.
Nope.
Yeah. Wow. So I built it for science fair. I ended up doing really well. I won my school. I won regionals, and I went to state, and it was a lot of fun. It was definitely an experience, and it kind of like just opened that door to modifying and building. I remember learning how to weld doing it, and I had already done a few things here and there with my dad, but I had an idea. I just went for it.
What do you think about like doing some more solar power? I mean, there's Formula E. So I mean, maybe there's something else you can do in regards to that.
I've considered it. I think there's a huge opening for solar or an electric in the hot rod industry. I think right now the problem is everybody wants to hear the rumble. Everyone wants to hear the horsepower on their custom car, which is really cool. But you get a Tesla, it's silent and it'll smoke just about any hot rodded car out there. So it's a cool idea, and it's definitely something that I think in the future we're going to have to go to.
Well, I agree, but that you still see so much of the influence of the muscle cars in modern cars, but yet they have so much technology in them, and they talk about it's easy to add horsepower. I mean, what has been up until now maybe one of the oddest builds that you've done?
Well, I've done some interesting things for myself, just because I like weird and wild, and the T-Bird's weird and wild. But as far as customer stuff goes, it's a lot of pro touring builds, a lot of pretty mild stuff. But the wagon right now is probably the weirdest thing I have, because no one expects to see a 4-door wagon restored, let alone modified as a pro touring car with a really high performance motor and really high performance suspension and all this stuff that would usually go into your generic muscle car. So that's definitely an interesting one. But my next weird and wild one is my Corvair, and that's probably going to be the craziest one.
Well, so what's the deal with the minivan? Because you keep posting this minivan. Is this just like baiting people into a conversation, or?
No, I'm building the minivan. I forgot about the minivan. That's my after SEMA project. I'm not allowed to think about that one until after. But no, the minivan, yeah, that's definitely going to be my weirdest one. It's I have a really nice 300,000 mile 2001 Dodge Grand Caravan that I'm going to put a very large motor in and make it a pretty much a race car. But
I look forward to that because it's hideous.
It is hideous. It's got golf ball hail damage, so it's going to be really fast. That aerodynamic edge.
It's going to make a difference.
Yeah, big difference.
So, like your friends, contemporary people your age, they just find it odd that you work as much as you do?
Absolutely, and that's not even just my friends, my age. That's people in general. But a lot of my friends, they would rather spend 25 hours a week working and then be broke the rest of the week. Those other 20, whatever it is. But I'm kind of over it. I get a lot of everyone gives me a hard time about it, but the way I see it is I'm not just building cars for someone. I'm not just working. I'm not just putting in hours to the grind. I'm building like my dream, and this is my dream for my future. It's not this isn't a 5-year plan. This is the rest of my life kind of plan. So
it doesn't even feel like work.
No, and that's the thing. Like especially the SEMA projects, the custom builds where you're doing something cool with the car. It really is what I enjoy doing. So I'd rather be doing that. And actually, even if I say I'm going to take off work, I'm going to go home and work on something. So working at the shop just means I have better tools and equipment. It's just a matter of perspective. For me, I love it. It's a good time.
So what was the earliest toolbox you got?
Oh man, I was talking about this the other day. So I want to say I was 11 or 12, and the Snap-on truck had already given me credit. I bought my first 2 $500 impact wrenches. I got 11 or 12 tops because it was right when I started. And I went over to Santa Fe Tool and got a stack-on toolbox. Had a single line, probably had like maybe 8-10 drawers in it. Had that thing filled up by the time I was at least 13, so I had to move up to a big toolbox.
Wow. How much money do you think you got invested in tools?
Well, just the bottom half of my toolbox, no tools, is $12,000.
Wow.
Just the box. And then you start adding the tools inside of it.
Was it a stereo in it or something?
No, it's a Snap-plated. it's like Snap-on's high-end toolbox. It's way too expensive. I can't believe I paid that. But overall in tools is probably $75,000, $80,000.
Wow.
Yes, it adds up pretty quick.
Wow. So. We got a whole lot more coming up on the other side. We're actually going to talk about a couple of builds that Caleb's currently working on. But we appreciate you watching us on the Proview networks here with the New Mexico Motorsports Report.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Duke City Sports Bar. Proud supporter of Proview Sports and New Mexico Youth Athletics. Catch all the sports action from high school, college, pros, and MMA on one of our 35 HD TVs. Start your night off right with any selection from our delicious menu prepared with fresh, never frozen ingredients. Duke City Sports Bar, Albuquerque's newest sports bar. Located on Eubank and Montgomery, dial 505-433-4020.
Terry Cosper Insurance Agency is a proud partner with Proview Networks and a proud supporter of New Mexico high school athletics. Terry's been a local farmer's agent for over 20 years for auto, home, life, and business insurance. Just like high school sports are important, so are teen drivers. For more information, call Terry or one of his licensed staff members at 898-5556. Quotes are available for you.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Dave & Buster's is your destination for fun. Eat delicious chef-crafted food. Try sizzling favorites and new creations from our talented chefs. Drink the coolest cocktail creations. Play the hottest new games to win awesome prizes. And watch all the games in the best sports bar ever. Only at Dave & Buster's.
Looking for some exhilarating fun? It's at All Out Zone. All Out Zone showcases Nerf Dart tag games from team elimination battles to human versus zombies, pitting two teams against each other in fun, organized chaos with trained referees, music, and a full arsenal of Nerf blasters. You need team parties, birthday parties. We can customize the party to fit your needs. Visit us at the Coronado Mall. Give us a call, 505-444-6964. All Out Zone.
The Barley Room, proud sponsor of Proview Networks for over 9 years, is pleased to introduce Black Iron Catering. From weddings and family reunions to birthdays and office parties, Black Iron Catering is perfect for any event. Contact Jamie at 505-459-8259 and book your event today. Black Iron Catering, let us bring our kitchen to you.
Car Crafters, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that could happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report. Dominic Aragon.
David Swope, and we had Caleb stay over because this may be the last chance that we get you before SEMA, and you got a couple of builds. But let's first talk about the California Special that you're working on.
You know, that's a pretty neat car, David. It's one of those cars that you look at it and at one glance it looks like a factory Mustang.
Yep.
You know, a lot of the mods we did to it were very mild. We tried to keep it, you know, in more of the classic era. The customer, he's a very old school kind of guy, and even this for him is kind of a big deal. Just cutting up anything on an old car for him is a big deal. We modified a few things on the body. We were able to shave drip rails. We shaved quarter extensions. The side scoops we built for it instead of using the bolt-on fiberglass scoops, because this is actually California Special, which uses a lot of the Shelby package. So it would have been at the time a really cool option, but now looking at it, they're poorly made fiberglass parts. So you either have to, you know, heavily modify them or build them out of steel, which is kind of what I really like to do. So all the fiberglass parts we actually replaced by just building them. And then we, like I said, shaved the drip rails. We got to shave the front windshield. We put all modern suspension in it, so it's more of a pro touring car now. And then we got to build a really cool engine bay, and the whole front support and coming into the engine bay is all hand built. So it gives it a really clean look. Like I said, keeping a lot of the old nostalgia of the car, not changing major body lines or anything that's going to, you know, change the look. And then we actually kept the factory paint. So the California Special had a single stripe down the side with a really nice CTGS on the scoop. So it's what I did, but once again just made it a little more modern.
And that's the 68 body style, correct?
Correct, yeah. So the 68 California Special, so it keeps the body style of just a regular coupe, but adds some of the Shelby parts that you would have only seen on a fastback.
Wow. Do you have a feel for how many were originally built?
Honestly, I did some research. It wasn't a ton. I want to say it was like 1,000, 1,200, something like that. I did some research on that back in January or February, I think, because I actually put in a few proposals for Ford on this car, just because it uses a lot of really cool stuff. And you know, like I said, we made some modern touches to the body, but the motor is a really cool old school motor. Originally it was going to go Coyote, but we actually changed our mind on it, and we went with a Boss 302, which is not a very common motor, and most of them were not actual pullouts from a car, because most of them, they blew up right away. It's really nice Boss 302, but it has a cross Boss intake and carburetor, which is what's kind of like the crowning piece for the whole car. Super rare. It's an NOS piece, so never been used, brand new Ford part, which is pretty cool.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of Ford work, but you're also working on a Chevelle here, so kind of giving a little love to the Chevys. And so we got a photograph here, and it's a four-door wagon.
It's a four-door wagon. And
you were talking about that a little bit more, but talk a little bit more about the build.
You know, this customer, he's actually become one of my great friends now. He's been helping me on the SEMA projects. He's actually there almost every night till 11 o'clock midnight, which is really cool. And it started out as a fairly mild project for us. We were going to get it in, we were going to do an LS swap and some minor interior changes, just because he wanted it a little more comfortable to drive. It's a really nice car to start with. It came in, I mean, it was winning shows around the state. So I mean, it was one of those things where most people called him crazy for doing it. Me, I was like, yeah, let's make it better, you know. So we got it in, tore it apart with just the motor and interior, and quickly he decided, if we're this far, we might as well put the color I like on it. So we painted it, and then it turned into, more of a show build. And that's when I asked him, like, I have a spot for SEMA. Do you want to take your car? And from there, it just escalated, because he's always dreamed of having a car for SEMA. So
well, and also we're going to show a piece there with the brakes. I mean, did you go through an upgrade on the brakes on it?
We upgraded a lot of this car. The wagons, they came with some of the beefier suspension as it was, mainly just because of weight. So It wasn't to handle better or perform any better. This car, we actually went through it. We put all Ride-Tech suspension, coilovers, just nice tubular stuff that's gonna make it run and drive more like a race car, honestly. And then, like you see there, that's a 4-piston Wilwood, and the Wilwood brake in the back, and the fronts have a 6-piston.
Wow.
And they're not Wilwood's cheap brakes. He went with 2-piece billet rotors and stuff that you would usually see on a race car or a high-performance hot rod, at least.
Wow.
Which this one is actually turning into a hot rod, more of a high-performance car. It's got a 500 horsepower GM crate motor, so it's an LS3.
Well, that's fantastic. It really looks like that you're so interested in the things that people don't see. I mean, because like on the Dirty Bird, the stripe goes all the way around the bottom, and you have displayed it to where people could see under it. But it just matters to you because, you know, most people just throw a Bondo on it and make it into whatever shape you want, you know. I mean, I've seen on Facebook where you're like, dang it, I found some rust, now I got to start all over. You know, I mean, talk about where does that come from? I mean, that desire to, it matters to you, even if you can't see it.
Well, I think it has a lot to do with how I was raised. You know, we worked hard. I actually have, there's 9 kids in my family. So, you know, we grew up in the mountains, and we did all of our own stuff. We built our own cabinetry. We, you know, built all of our own furniture. We did all of our own house repairs. Every house we went to, we renovated it. You know, we started with something that was not that nice, and we ended with something that everyone's just like, oh, how could you afford this? Oh, we can't afford it. You know, we made it, you know, and I think it has a lot to do with that. You know, I grew up knowing what quality was, and now I'm not going to do it if it's not quality. And I think it actually is more like, it hurts me more if I see something done wrong, and it's one of those things like I would rather spend the time, do it right, and even lose a little bit. I'd rather, you know, lose on the bill or whatever it is and see it done correctly.
Wow. How would people get in contact with you? I mean, I know where you are, but if somebody's watching this show and, you know, they'd like to learn more about you, learn more about what you do, how would they reach out? Well, the best way is always going to be on Facebook and Instagram, just Loose Customs. It's pretty easy to find. We also have a website now. It's well, we were joined on to our parent company for a while, which was J. Walton Automotive. It's now just Loose Customs. And then you can always call the shop, come check it out, you know, and see what we have going on. Well, apparently you're always there. Yeah, I'm always there. Always. So after SEMA, are you going to take a vacation? You going to take some time off? You got any plans? I would love to say yes, but I already have like 3 or 4 builds scheduled after. So I'm going to start trying to take weekends off at least, and then just work my 60-hour week and try and take a day and a half off, something like that. Wow. Well, I really appreciate you coming down, and definitely want to check out his work. And if you ever get to stop by, I mean, I would call first, because I mean, you might be painting something, and then all of a sudden, you know. You get turned away if I'm painting. Sounds like you might also put people to work. Yeah. If you come over, don't expect to hang out. You're going to be working. No loitering. Yeah, exactly. No exactly.
Well, thank you guys for joining us on this edition of the New Mexico Motorsports Report. More coming up after the break.
Garden Sorts Team Sales is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Get into the game. Garden Schwartz Team Sales features fine products and apparel from Wilson, Schutt Sports, Speedline, and Russell Athletics. We offer custom embroidery and screen printing services for all of your school or club needs, from team uniforms to school leather jackets. Specializing in all sports and serving all communities, from big schools to small schools, from up north to down south, or all points in between. Garden Schwartz Team Sales. For great prices, friendly staff, and quality products, call Garden Schwartz Team Sales today at 1-800-880-7767. That's 1-800-880-7767. Since 1939, Garden Schwartz Team Sales is a proud supporter of New Mexico youth athletics.
Gecko's Bar and Tapas, a proud supporter of Proview Networks. It's been a fan-favorite spot for food lovers and sports fans. With not one, but 2 great locations, including outdoor patio, an atmosphere you won't want to miss. Gecko's, off Academy and in Nob Hill. Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
Locally loved restaurants like Farina Pizzeria, Farina Alto, and the Artichoke Cafe are the perfect venue for your next event. Farina Alto has traditional Italian food, plus handcrafted cocktails in a beautiful Northeast Heights location. Farina Pizzeria with a downtown vibe, amazing affordable wines, and local beer. And the Artichoke Cafe has set the standard for casual fine dining since 1989. Visit our family of restaurants and see what fine dining is all about.
Ladera Golf Course. Opened in 1980, Ladera features a full 18 including spacious greens, a large driving range, roomy practice putting greens, and 4 large lakes. Surrounding Ladera, beautiful views of the Sandia Mountains to the east and volcanoes to the west. Ladera is a challenging city-owned course with the longest playing yardage of any other city courses. For weekend tee times and more information, call 505-836-4449.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, hashtag life change will occur.
Is this my car?
State Farm knows that for every one of those moments,
This is ridiculous!
there's one of these.
Is this my car? What? This is ridiculous.
This can't be happening!
This can't be happening.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Oh, it's happening, sweetheart.
Shut up!
Shut up!
That's why State Farm is there, with car insurance for when things go wrong, but also here with car loans to help life go right. State Farm.
Talk to State Farm agent Marty Size or Michelle Rudolph in Albuquerque today.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Welcome back to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Networks. I'm Dominic Aragon. Let's take a look at what's going on locally this week, and here's Brooklyn Grid.
Yeah, we got a couple things going on at ABQ Dragway and at Sandia. On October 21st, we've got something going on at the Dragway. We got Street to Strip. October 22nd, we got a bracket race called October Classic. And at Sandia on October 21st and the 22nd, we got the SMRI race day. So just want to take a little bit of time out to talk about the Sprint Car Stampede that happened last Saturday night at Sandia Speedway. For the wing mini sprints, we had Devin Amos, who took the checkered flag, and Jacob Johnson, who got second. For the non-wing mini sprints, we got Sean Deskins and Devin Amos. For the wings big sprints, we've got Jason Grady and Don Grable. And then for the non-wing mini sprints, Sean Deskins took the checkered and Jason Grady got second. There was some awesome racing out at Sandia. I mean, the track was a little dusty, a little sandy. You got some dirt in your eyes, that's for sure. But they put on a good show. They had a good car count, and it was a good show for Sandia. It was awesome. I mean, the stands could be a little more full, so be sure to go out there for the next races and fill those stands, guys. But it was a good weekend.
Yeah.
Overall, some good racing.
What was weather and attendance like this past weekend out there?
The weather was fine. It got a little cold, but it started at 3:30, so we had some good weather. And then as the sun went down, it did get cold. And of course, we were all full of dirt because of the track. They needed some more water on that thing, that's for sure. But attendance, I mean, the driver's attendance was really awesome. I mean, the stands were a little empty, but you know.
It's getting colder out. And
yeah. Last race, so.
Yeah, that's why you see a lot of these tracks moving up their start times as the year goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a little bit of it could be the Balloon Fiesta as well. Yeah. There's tends to be a lot of attrition towards the end of the year, and so it does affect that. Of course, a lot of people say it all starts with the state fair and going back to school and families get in there. But I will have to say that the road course was just fine on Saturday and Sunday. I was actually able to get my Spec Miata out and run around. Started 7th, finished 4th. Had a pretty good turnout. Of course, third in class. I was the third fastest Miata, but great turnout. And I mean, Charlie Fagan and his staff did a great job in prepping the road course, which is just directly east of the dirt track. So no remnants of the dirt from Saturday night where it was on the track, but really neat to hear that you had a good car count. So we can always work on attendance next year.
Yeah, there was also the Balloon Classic at the Quarter Midget track just right across the street from the dirt track. So there was a lot going on at Sandia last weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great event. I mean, how many times did you drive in the Balloon Classic?
5 or 6 times.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
definitely the best race of the year because you had kids from all over come to Albuquerque to compete.
Yeah, is it a 3-day event? I mean, or is Friday just kind of a track day for people that come from out of town?
Friday was practice. Saturday they usually did the qualifying, then the one heat, and then they left the mains for Sunday.
How old can you get started in quarter midgets?
5.
5?
Yes, you can be 5. It's 5 to 18, 17, I believe.
Okay.
Now. Yeah, so I mean, you had kids who are out there like Joshua Jackson, who started when he was 4. Like just going out there and practicing. But yeah, you have to be 5 years old to enroll in your first race.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. That's fantastic.
Well, looking at those results, there's one name that popped out to me on the non-wing, finishing second with Devin Amos. How did he look out there? Because I know he ran in NASCAR's Canyon Series at one point. I know he ran across the country.
Yeah, he looked really good. I mean, he's having some trouble with his own car, so he drove one of his friend's car, the 24C. So he looked, it's a fast car. So Devin did really good. We thought he was going to pull off that non-wing win as well and take both of them home, but he looked good. There was a lot of wrecks in that non-wing mini sprint race. I mean, it's a small track for that many cars. But Devin stayed clean the whole time, and he did good.
Sure. Does it look like he's coming back running full-time at Sandia?
I wouldn't say at Sandia. It seems like that family's trying to travel more. They're trying to get out of the state of New Mexico, trying to get their names out there, and they ran a lot of Gramps this season. They did Colorado a couple weeks ago, and the 24C actually won in Colorado, $4,000 pot.
Nice.
Wow.
Well, yeah, they rained out the day before, so put the pot together.
Wow.
It's a really good share. Yeah. So, okay, you got me curious because you said a lot of cars started, a lot of crashes. Was it like Talladega, just a few finished?
We actually talked about this before, and I was telling him how it was at Sandia, and I was like, just like Talladega, actually. So, yeah. It was crazy.
That's awesome. Well, let's take a look after Talladega, the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series points as we move towards national racing. Christopher Bell, as the points reset, will start as your point leader. Now, they have an off week, but they're going to pick up action again in Martinsville in 2 weeks, and they run the last 4 races of the year alongside the Cup Series. Bell's got a nice advantage over the rest of the field.
Yeah, he does. I think that you're going to see him move forward probably right away. I think once you get back to the mile-and-a-half tracks, you really got to look at Sauter and Kraft and getting it done. It's going to be neat to see this thing go right down to the end at Homestead. And I think that I think Ben Rhodes is probably going to slip in. I don't think John Hunter Nemechek's going to make it to the next round. I mean, that's just my prediction.
Kind of like how Ricky Stenhouse made it to the next round of the playoffs in the Cup Series. That's what helped Nemechek at Talladega. He had the 2 wins. He made some stage points, got lucky. But, yeah, a lot of unpredictability with the number 8 truck. Obviously, his father, Joe Nemechek, they've put a lot of money into that program, and you even see Joe Starton park the second truck to help fund that operation.
Right.
That's how strapped for cash they are, and it's a really cool story to see Hunter Nemechek make it this far. But I'm kind of with you there. I don't know if they're going to make it to Homestead this year. Not battling for the championship, at least.
Well, I would still say even finishing 6th is a success story. I mean, he could finish 5th, as high as 5th, and not make it in. So I mean, it's still a success story, absolutely.
Sure. I think just what impressed me most is how he was out 2 laps to go at Talladega, and that big crash happens. Right. He misses, and he makes it in. But let's take a look at also the NASCAR Xfinity Series points. They're going to be in action at Kansas Speedway this weekend. William Byron has a 3-point advantage over his teammate Justin Allgaier and a 6-point advantage over his other teammate Elliott Sadler, still in the playoffs. 8 drivers remain. This will be the kickoff to their round of 8. Only 4 advanced though past Homestead, so they'll be in action the next 3 weeks as well.
Yeah, and I think that once again, it's like JGR's, it's JR Motorsports championship to lose. I'd really like to see Justin Allgaier. I mean, you talk about having to go backwards from Cup. I mean, he really struggled at Cup, never had quite as good a ride, just kept digging, and now he's had a tremendous opportunity last year. Of course, he made it to the Final Four, but wasn't able to get it done. But Daniel Suarez ended up winning the championship, and of course he moved up to Cup. So it'd be interesting to see if Justin Allgaier could dig his way back to the Cup level.
Sure. Bring up a great point there. So Justin Allgaier, like you said, made it to the Cup Series for a couple of years, and now he's back in Xfinity, running the best, arguably his best year in Xfinity yet. Would you say struggling at the Cup Series or struggling at that next step in the racing ladder and then coming back to another series makes you a better racer?
Well, I think it can. It definitely can. Is a humbling experience. Maybe in the way, maybe protect your equipment a little bit more. You spend a little bit more time with sponsors. I mean, there could be a whole, slew of things that happen. And, of course, it definitely is a shot to your ego. But, I mean, he's got, superior equipment. So that does show you maybe at the Xfinity level, you can still see the difference between the haves and the have-nots more than you can see it at the Cup level. But you're never going to take that away. I mean, they were talking about trying to, contain costs. I mean, some teams just have a bigger budget. If you don't spend it, on lug guns, you're going to spend it somewhere else. Because immediately when they started talking about that, I was like, well, how can you get that fill can to fill faster? Yeah. I mean, because it's really, if it's not one thing, it's another. Put like a little, maybe a little something to push the fuel inside the can. I mean, we're not going to see. The engineers are so smart figuring all this stuff out. But it's neat to see like Cole Custer, kind of come alive in this. It's one of those things where the Ford started out fast. Well, it looks like the Stuart Haas has been really good for him and quite a learning experience. But he's looking great. Danny Hemrick right there. So a lot of young guys that could make their way up.
Brennan Poole as well, who's going to be going likely Cup racing next year, as we've reported on the show before. Possibly to Richard Childress Racing in the 27 car to fill the vacancy from Paul Menard. Brennan Poole, your thoughts? Does he make it to the championship 4?
I don't think so.
Yeah. No. Well, he's never won a race. Yeah. I mean, he's led some laps, but
he did get rid of the mullet.
Yeah.
I mean, he got rid of the mullet before the mullet started with everybody else.
One step at a time.
Okay. All right.
You got to walk before you crawl, and the whole
apparently it's more than just a haircut.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at your Cup Series points entering this weekend's race out at Kansas Speedway. Martin Truex and Brad Keselowski, the only two safe guys. As you can see, they're highlighted in green, but you have 10 other guys trying for 8 spots. Jamie McMurray, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they're going to have to score a lot of stage points, or they're just going to have to go flat out win on Sunday.
Well, absolutely. I mean, wouldn't that be a shakeup? I mean, see Jamie McMurray finally get that victory. Of course, I mean, Ricky Stenhouse had victories leading up to, I don't know if he's going to get over the hump. But I tell you, two guys that are lurking out there is number 9 and 9th Kyle Busch and 10th Matt Kenseth. I mean, in a 1.5 mile track, those two guys have a shot at it. Look at Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson sitting right there, and maybe to get knocked out. I mean, we talked about him going out last year in this round, and then he goes on to win the championship. It's good to see Ryan Blaney do a little better. Chase Elliott, wouldn't that be great to see him get his first victory, punch his ticket? But it's anybody's with that, win and you're in situation. I'd say probably from Chase up, you're probably pretty safe on points. It's going to be interesting. Look at Kevin Harvick sneaking back up in there. I mean, Mr. Consistent. So I guess it's going to, happy Harvick.
How many more times is Chase Elliott going to have to finish second before he wins one of these things?
I don't know. I mean, the crowd's ready for him to win right now, and just think about the fact he's one of those young guys that could maybe go get 7 championships, 8 championships, because you got to say that Hendrick might not be the best equipment out there this year, and what he's been able to do with inferior equipment, I have to laugh at that. I mean, because don't forget that Kyle Larson's got a Hendrick power plant in that car, so he's been able to get it done. So you got to wonder what else is potentially going on over there.
Yeah, it's just the same with Jamie McMurray. A lot of these guys consistently running inside the top 10.
Right.
But We talk about it all the time. Here's the bigger picture question. When does Hendrick Motorsports get their 250th career win in the Cup Series? They're at 249 right now.
Well, how long have they been at 249? I mean, 6 races, 10 races?
It's been since Kane won at Brickyard in August, or July. So
yeah, it's been a while, but definitely, that would be very ceremonial. I mean, for Chase to win in the 24, be the only other person to have won in the 24, get the 250th victory, his first. I mean, what other stat am I missing? I feel like there's probably like 3 other stats that they have.
No, that really hits about it, because I think no one else has won on the 24 car. Cecile Gordon ran the 24 car in the 70s, finished top 10 in points a few times, but never won in that car. But Chase Elliott only has 5 more races to do it, and I think, honestly, I'm sure it'd be cool to win at any time, but I think it would be much more gratifying and more historic if he won in the 9 car next year, because that was his father's number.
Yeah, but let's get it done now. I mean, what if the end of the world is before next year? Wins a win. So let's go ahead and get it done. I mean, if we want to make it a storybook ending, let's just have him go ahead and win it at Homestead.
How about that? He advances all the way to the championship round, doesn't win a race, and then finally just notches that first career win at Homestead.
Absolutely.
That would be quite the storybook ending to 2017, actually.
Yeah,
unprecedented.
Absolutely.
So, well, we appreciate everyone for tuning in here to the New Mexico Motorsports Report here on the Proview Networks. You can catch us online at nmmotorsportsreport.com. You can check us out on Facebook and follow us on Twitter as well. Details on the website. For Brooklyn Green and for David Swope, I'm Dominic Ottagon. We'll see you next time.